Okay, so dimensional analysis is a fancy word for conversions. All right, we use this every single unit for the rest of the year. Okay, this is one of the biggest headaches that my kids would have probably said that they had last year. We use it very, very often in the second semester, but this will be on every single test. Okay, this one and everything moving forward. If you don't get these, we have to fix it. We have to figure it out as quickly as possible, because once again, this is like one of the biggest skills in chemistry, in level chemistry or in our class. We do conversions every single test, okay? And once you get it, you can convert anything, but it's getting to that point of getting there that can be kind of a struggle sometimes, okay? So once again, we're looking to convert from one thing into another, and we use this in real life all the time. And there's some examples up on the board. Okay, and like I said, units of one thing into units of another. Now they could be common units like inches or miles or kilometers or meters or gallons, cups, stuff like that. But it could also just be slices of pizza per person. It could be number of kids in a class, number of kids in a school, number of people in a state, population, stuff like that. Okay, it could be any type of unit. All right, so here are some things that we might need to convert to figure things out in real life. Whether you think you do this or not, you probably do it more often than you think. All right. So we have conversion factors, and then we have units that must be used. Okay. So when you do these conversions, you'll get multiple points throughout the extended response, the short answer response. Okay. One of those points comes from your work. All right. In your work, you're going to have to write down units to get full credit for your work, or else you won't get that work point. And most of you, or not most of you, but some of you are going to hang your hat on getting work points, because it's going to be difficult until it clicks for you to get the right answer, the calculated point. Okay? But if you can get all the other kind of accessory points, you're going to be okay. So get the easy points. That's what I'm talking about. Use your units so you can get that work point. All right? So equalities versus conversion factors. Equality is 1 hour is equal to 60 minutes. When I turn that into a ratio or put one over top of each other, now I've just made a conversion factor. All right? And one of the hard parts is 1 hour is 60 minutes, or we could write it as 60 minutes is 1 hour. It's the exact same thing, but it matters with what number goes on top and what number goes on bottom. That's where the units come in. They help you. All right? That's why it's required that you use them. They're going to help you if you use them right. All right? So the same thing, just written two different ways. All right? So here are some common conversion factors. You won't need to memorize this. So 1 foot is 12 inches. 1 yard, anybody know? How many feet? 3 feet. All right? You won't really need to memorize many of these, except for the metric system, which we just did, the King Henry Dyke stuff. You guys remember just doing that 10 minutes ago? Right? That's what you'll need to memorize by that little mnemonic device, and we did practice with that. But all these other ones, like, you'll never have to know what 1 pint equals. That will be given to you. All right? If I give you a conversion, you'll have to know this. You have to have the skills to apply it to the question. That's what we're testing. Okay? So here's some other conversion factors, some common ones. That, like the 1 hour in minutes, 1 minute and 60 seconds, that should be common knowledge. And it's not just asking, that's not really what we're testing. Okay? So when you have to convert, and you will have to convert a lot this year, a lot this year. When you have to convert, you ask yourself 3 questions. Number 1, what is my given? Number 2, what am I trying to convert into? And number 3, how am I going to do it? What conversion factor am I going to use to get into what I need to get into my desired unit? All right? All those are very important questions that you're going to ask yourself to help get you to the next step, help kind of drive you through the question, the problem. All right? So here we go. We're all going to do this one together. I'm going to tell you exactly how you're going to do every single conversion this year. All right? So the question is, how many seconds are in 1 day? Right? So your first question is, what's my given? What's my given measurement? What's my given measurement?
1 day.
Write it down. Do the units matter? Do I have to write day there?
Yes.
Yes, you do. It's not negotiable. You have to write day there. If you miss 1 unit, you don't get any work points. You have to write the units down for every step that we do. It's going to be a pain. It's going to make your work really big. It's going to be redundant sometimes, but you have to write it down. You have to. Okay? 1 day, then I'm going to do my next conversion factor, my ratio. So, is from what's given here, can I convert directly from 1 day into seconds? Is there a conversion factor here, an equality for that?
No.
There's not. But can I use one of these to get closer to seconds? What is that? Hours into, or sorry, days into hours. So notice how right away I start in days, right? That should tell me that days go right down here right away because I need to get out of days. And now I'm into hours. So now the biggest question is, from what I remember last year, is, okay, I know what conversion to use, but I don't know where to put the numbers. I don't know, do the numbers go on top or do they go on bottom? Well, look at your units. Hours goes with what number? 1 or 24? It's not a trick question. 24, right? So put the 24 next to the hours and the 1 next to the days. So now you're asking yourself, am I in my desired units yet? I'm left with hours. Is that my desired unit? I need to get to seconds, right? So am I in my desired units? So do I need to do another step, right? So if I know I need to do another step, hours is here. What needs to go right here right away? Hours has to go here. That way they cross out. Well, is there a direct pathway from hours into seconds right now? No, but can I do a conversion to get closer? That is 1 hour into 60. I can get from hours into minutes through what conversion? 1 hour is equal to 60 minutes. So I'm out of hours, I'm into minutes. Right? Is minutes my desired unit?
No.
It's not, so I need to do another step. Right? So I know I need to get out of minutes, so that needs to go here. And now do I have a conversion factor from minutes into seconds?
Yes.
Well, 1 minute is equal to 60 seconds. Minutes cancel out, and now am I in my desired unit? So do I need to convert anymore? No. There's going to be a time this year where you just keep, like, you're going to keep going and going and going. I'm going to say, you're doing way too much work because you could have stopped way back here because that was what you needed to be into from the question. Okay? So that's where that second question comes into play. What do I need to get into? Okay? So now, what do you do from here when you're done converting? Now your equation is 1, that was from your given, times 24 times 60 times 60 divided by everything on the bottom. 1 times 1 times 1. Now you're thinking that they're all 1s. Of course we know that. But they're not always going to be 1s. There's going to be different numbers on top and bottom where you actually have to do a division problem. Does that make sense? All right, it's coming. This is just the basics right now. Okay, so everything on top divided by everything on the bottom. Y'all should be doing that. Question? So now, once again, I need a calculated answer, which is what? 86,400 seconds. So, the breakdown of points of how I'm going to grade this, that's important to you. You get a point for having all of this up here. All of the correct work, all of the correct labels, the units here. You get a point for your answer. You get a point for your label. Now I say you need to put it in sig figs. Sig figs matter for this one. Now what do you do? It's multiplication. So you should be looking at all of your measurements, total amount of sig figs in each measurement, right? Rule number 5, this is important. Rule number 5 deals with all of this right here, because rule number 5 says that all conversion factors have an infinite amount of sig figs. That's the rule. So these are all conversion factors, so will any of these be the least amount of sig figs? They have an infinite amount. We can't count to infinity, right? So they'll never be the least amount. So where do I get my least amount of sig figs to make sure my answer is in that amount? Always, always, always from the question in your given. That will be true all year long. What measurement was given to you? Count your sig figs in that measurement, which in this case is what? Now it's the number 1, but it's also 1 sig fig. So how many sig figs can I have in my answer? 1. So is my answer 9? Is my answer 90? It's not. I use this 6 to round that 8 to a 9, but these zeros are still important. 90,000. Does that make sense, guys? The zeros are still important. You still need them as placeholders. Okay? So we did a lot of these slides already. All right, we did this. I told you about the given and the given units, and we need to keep converting until we end on top with our desired unit. We get that unit from the question. Go through the same process all year long. All right, and then so we've done all this. We got the first conversion factor. We keep converting until we finish with what we need. Okay, and that's what they've done here. We should already have all this work on our own. Okay, multiply all the numbers on top, multiply all the numbers on the bottom, and then divide the 2. So what's going to happen is you need to remember order of operation. So what's going to end up happening is you have like 3.2 times 4 times 1 on top, and then like 2.4 times 3 on the bottom. That could be a problem that you come across just from converting back and forth with different known conversion factors, right? Make sure if you're putting all this into your calculator the right way, you use parentheses. This is huge. Does that make sense? Because if you don't put parentheses, especially on the bottom, what's going to happen is that will get divided by 2.4 and then multiplied by 3. You've all been through enough math where order of operation matters, right? You need to make sure you use parentheses. It matters. Okay? So, here we go. Your turn. Your turn. Do this one. You can talk with people around you. You can check. You can look. There's no cheating while we're doing this. you're stuck, you can look up here. I'm kind of doing it. If you want to finish and then check everything when you're done, this is just if you're stuck. Years cross out. Days cross out. I'm left in hours, which is what I want to be. So then technically my equation is 1.5 times 365 times 24. All over 1 times 1. I don't need to see this down here on your paper. If you're wondering as you work, if you want to, that's great. But I don't need to see this for any part of your work once. So when I do that in the calculator, what do I get? A little louder. 13,140. Is that a correct answer? What's the non-negotiable? Units. Once again, units. You get a point for units, guys. That's even easier than the work. Write down the right units, and that's 1 point. You've got to do that, okay? So now, let's say I do want to put it into significant figures. How do I know how many to turn it into? What do I look at? My given. How many is my given? 2. So I need to turn this into 2 sig figs. 1, 2. 13 is my answer. I need placeholders. Thank you. That's a great way to put it. I need placeholders. And I still need my units. So make sure you have that work down.